The cavernous diplomatic chamber of the Galactic Confederation gleamed with impossible geometries, its walls shifting between translucent blues and soft silvers. 12 alien species sat arranged in a circular configuration that defied traditional seating arrangements, each representative a testament to the diversity of galactic civilization. And then there were the humans. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood out, not because she was remarkable, but because she was so deliberately unremarkable. Her tailored charcoal suit could have been purchased from any mid-range Earth retailer. Her posture was relaxed, almost casual, with just a hint of professional attentiveness that screamed eager but not desperate. Behind her, a small delegation of human representatives maintained carefully cultivated expressions of mild curiosity and respectful attention. Senior Diplomatic Coordinator Zara Chen, standing just behind Rodriguez, fought to suppress the smallest of smiles. Years of preparation had led to this moment, a performance centuries in the making. The Zorn primary representative, Krell MX, towered over the human delegation. Its crystalline body refracted light in mesmerizing patterns, each shift creating intricate shadows that seemed to tell stories of ancient civilizations. Krellnax's multiple sensory tendrils extended slightly, a biological lie detector that had broken the diplomatic defenses of 1,000 species. Humanity's request to formally engage with the Galactic Confederation is interesting. Krellnax began, its translated voice a low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate through the chamber. Your species has made remarkable progress in such a short time. Relatively speaking, of course. The subtle condescension was unmistakable. To the alien representatives, humanity was a promising but ultimately juvenile species, a potential client civilization to be guided, monitored, and ultimately controlled. Rodriguez inclined her head slightly, the perfect image of diplomatic humility. "We are honored by the opportunity," she responded, her voice warm but professional. "Our species has much to learn from the collective wisdom of the Confederation." Each word was carefully chosen, each gesture meticulously calculated. What the aliens didn't see was the complex network of quantum-encrypted communication devices woven into the fabric of Rodriguez's clothing. What they couldn't detect were the nanoscale surveillance systems, mapping every inch of the diplomatic chamber, collecting data with each passing second. Behind the diplomatic masks, humanity was playing a game far more complex than any alien could comprehend. Dr. Marcus Chen, watching from a remote surveillance station deep within the Europa Research Complex, tracked every microscopic interaction. Quantum algorithms processed the diplomatic exchange, building complex predictive models with each spoken word, each subtle body movement. Target acquisition proceeding nominally, he murmured to himself, fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that would look like technological madness to any outside observer. The human delegation represented decades of careful preparation. Every individual had been selected not just for their diplomatic skills, but for their ability to maintain an elaborate, generations-long deception. Rodriguez wasn't just an ambassador. She was the tip of a very carefully constructed spear. Krellnax's sensory tendrils continued to probe, searching for any hint of deception. But humanity had long ago learned to defeat even the most sophisticated biological lie detection systems. What the Zorn saw was exactly what the humans wanted them to see. A young, eager species ready to learn, to integrate, to become another footnote in the vast galactic bureaucracy. Nothing could be further from the truth. As the diplomatic session continued, Rodriguez maintained her carefully crafted persona. Diplomatic, slightly naive, perpetually curious. Each smile was a weapon. Each gesture of respect, a strategic move in a game of galactic chess that had been playing out for generations. The Galactic Confederation believed they were observing a young species. In reality, they were being studied. The Human Advanced Research Protocol, HARP, facility on Europa pulsed with a controlled chaos that would have driven any outside observer mad. What appeared to be a straightforward research complex was, in reality, the most advanced technological fortress in human history. Dr. Marcus Chen stood before a holographic display that looked like a child's confused attempt at three-dimensional chess. To the untrained eye, it was nonsensical. To those who understood, it was a meticulously crafted system of technological misdirection that would make the most sophisticated alien civilizations weep. "Prepare the Trojan package," he muttered to Dr. Aisha Kapoor, his lead systems architect. Kapoor's fingers danced across quantum interfaces that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. "Zorn Collective is approaching data transfer window in T-17 minutes," she responded, her voice clinical, detached. The current breakthrough was a seemingly revolutionary communication protocol that promised to solve some of the Galactic Confederation's most persistent data transmission challenges. What the aliens didn't know was that each line of code was a carefully constructed maze, a technological labyrinth designed to reveal nothing while collecting everything. A holographic representation of the proposed technology shimmered between them, a beautiful, complex structure that looked like a hybrid between a crystalline neural network and an impossible mathematical equation. It was art. It was science. It was a lie. "Remember," Chen said, his eyes never leaving the display, "we're not just sharing technology. We're writing the most elaborate intelligence-gathering script in human history." The Trojan package was more than just a simple data transfer. It was a multi-layered intelligence-gathering mechanism that would penetrate alien communication networks, map technological infrastructures, and create backdoors that could be activated decades from now. In the next room, a team of linguistic experts worked on what appeared to be translation algorithms. Their real job was far more intricate, creating communication models that could predict and manipulate alien diplomatic interactions. Each translation wasn't just about converting words, but about understanding the complex psychological and cultural nuances that could be exploited. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's earlier diplomatic performance was just the visible tip of a massive, carefully constructed iceberg. The Europa facility was humanity's true face, a technological marvel so advanced that it made the Galactic Confederation's most sophisticated research centers look like children's science projects. Quantum computing systems that could process entire civilizational datasets in microseconds. Adaptive nanotechnologies that could reconfigure themselves faster than most species could blink. Predictive algorithms that could model potential galactic conflicts centuries in advance. "Zorn data transfer initiating," Kapoor announced. Chen allowed himself the briefest of smiles, a smile that would have terrified any alien species sophisticated enough to understand its implications. The data transfer began. To the Zorn researchers, it looked like a standard technological exchange. Cutting-edge communication protocols, promising breakthroughs in faster-than-light information transfer. They would analyze the data, marvel at human innovation, and never realize they were being comprehensively studied. Each byte of information was a Trojan horse, each algorithm a potential weapon. Penetration depth at 37%, Kapoor reported. Zorn network mapping proceeding at optimal efficiency. What looked like a simple data transfer was, in reality, a comprehensive invasion. Not of physical space, but of informational territory. Humanity was colonizing alien technological landscapes, one quantum bit at a time. Chen watched the progress, his mind already several steps ahead. This wasn't just about gathering intelligence. This was about understanding potential threats, mapping technological ecosystems, and ensuring that when humanity decided to reveal its true capabilities, it would be prepared for any possible response. The Zorn thought they were receiving a gift of technology. They were actually receiving their own comprehensive technological autopsy. The conflict between the Krex Imperium and the orbital communes looked, to the casual galactic observer, like a typical territorial dispute. Centuries of tension, competing resource claims, and cultural misunderstandings had finally boiled over into open warfare. What no one realized was that every single diplomatic misstep had been meticulously engineered. Commander Sarah Nakamura leaned back in the observation deck of the hidden research station Prometheus, her augmented eyes tracking multiple holographic displays simultaneously, Each screen represented a different layer of the carefully constructed conflict: diplomatic communications, military movements, resource allocation patterns. "Trigger point activated," whispered Lieutenant David Chen, her second-in-command. A quantum-encrypted communication line pulsed with activity, barely registering on any known alien scanning technology. The conflict's origins were a masterpiece of psychological manipulation. Human intelligence operatives had spent years infiltrating both the CREX and orbital communication networks, planting subtle communication discrepancies, manipulating diplomatic translations, and creating microscopic tensions that would eventually erupt into full-scale warfare. A missive from the CREX diplomatic corps, seemingly a routine communication about resource allocation, contained precisely encoded linguistic triggers. To the untrained eye, it was a standard bureaucratic document. To those who understood the intricate language manipulation, it was a carefully constructed spark designed to ignite existing tensions. The orbital commune's response was equally manipulated. Their communication network had been subtly compromised years ago, with specific neuro-linguistic algorithms designed to amplify defensive posturing and minimize diplomatic flexibility. Data acquisition proceeding at 92% efficiency, Lieutenant Chen reported, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that looked like impossible geometric patterns. Nakamura allowed herself the briefest of satisfied smiles. This wasn't just a conflict. It was a living laboratory, a comprehensive testing ground for understanding alien military responses, communication protocols, and strategic decision-making processes. Each missile launch was analyzed. Every strategic maneuver was recorded. The quantum-level surveillance systems embedded in the conflict zone collected data that would take centuries for most civilizations to process. The human team wasn't just observing. They were actively managing the conflict's parameters, ensuring it remained contained enough to prevent total destruction while creating maximum information yield. CREX Battle Group moving to Sector 7 Gamma, Lieutenant Chen announced. Predictive models suggest 73% probability of defensive repositioning within next 42 minutes. Nakamura's augmented perception allowed her to see the conflict from multiple dimensional perspectives. What looked like chaotic military movements to other species was, to her enhanced perception, a beautifully choreographed dance of strategic information gathering. Deep within the Prometheus station, massive quantum computing systems processed billions of data points per second. Each military movement, each diplomatic communication was fed into complex predictive models that could map potential galactic conflict scenarios centuries in advance. The CREX believed they were defending their territorial integrity. The orbital communes thought they were responding to an existential threat. In reality, they were unwitting participants in humanity's most sophisticated intelligence-gathering operation. We're learning more about galactic warfare in this single conflict than most species discover in a millennium, Nakamura murmured. Lieutenant Chen nodded. Every death, every destroyed ship, every lost resource, it's all data. Pure, unfiltered intelligence. The cold calculus of their approach was both terrifying and brilliant. Humanity was transforming warfare itself into a research methodology, turning conflict into a comprehensive intelligence-gathering tool. As the battle raged across multiple star systems, the human observers remained detached, clinical, their augmented perceptions seeing far beyond the immediate chaos. This wasn't just a war. This was a lesson. And humanity was the ultimate professor. The Void Hunters emerged from the galactic rim like a nightmare given quantum form. Beings of pure computational malevolence, they existed between dimensional states, consuming entire civilizations by unraveling the very quantum fabric of planetary ecosystems. When the first distress signals reached the Galactic Confederation, panic spread faster than the Void Hunters themselves. 12 advanced civilizations had already been reduced to atomic dust. Entire stellar systems became nothing more than scattered radiation and mathematical impossibilities. The Confederation's most advanced war fleets had been swatted aside like primitive insects, their most sophisticated defensive systems torn apart at the quantum level. And then the humans volunteered. The initial response from the Galactic Confederation was laughter, derision. Humans, the species they had viewed as a promising but ultimately juvenile civilization, facing the most terrifying existential threat in galactic history. Colonel Maya Rodriguez stood before the Confederation's Emergency War Council, her presentation hologram displaying a combat strategy that looked more like abstract art than a military plan. Her team's proposed intervention seemed almost charmingly naive. A mix of adaptive combat algorithms, biomechanical augmentation technologies, and what appeared to be impossibly complex quantum interference patterns. "We can help," she said simply. The Zorn primary representative, Krell Namix, actually produced what could only be described as a crystalline equivalent of a dismissive snort. "Your species has no concept of the computational complexity required to counter the Void Hunters. They exist in quantum states that would shatter your most advanced technological frameworks." What Krell next didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this type of threat for generations. The first deployment of human forces looked like madness. Small, seemingly fragile combat units equipped with technology that defied conventional understanding. Biomechanical soldiers whose bodies could shift quantum states faster than the Void Hunters could process. Adaptive nanotechnologies that could reconstruct entire battlefield ecosystems in microseconds. Lieutenant David Chen led the first strike team. His augmented body was a marvel of technological integration, not just a human enhanced by technology, but a living weapon that could predict and counter dimensional shifts at speeds that made the Void Hunters look almost primitive. The initial engagement was nothing short of miraculous. Where previous civilizations' fleets had been utterly destroyed in nanoseconds, the human units moved with impossible precision. They didn't just fight the Void Hunters. They danced with them, predicted them, manipulated the very quantum landscape of conflict. Each human soldier was a quantum computer, each weapon system a living, adaptive intelligence that could rewrite its own operational parameters faster than most species could blink. They didn't just react to the Void Hunters, they anticipated them, played them like some impossible multidimensional chess match. Target acquisition confirmed. Chen's voice was clinical, detached. Quantum destabilization sequence initiating. The Confederation watched in stunned silence as human forces began systematically dismantling the Void Hunters. Not through brute force, but through an almost elegant manipulation of computational space. They were fighting mathematics itself, turning the Void Hunters' own computational nature against them. 3 standard galactic rotation periods later, the threat was neutralized. Where 12 advanced civilizations had failed, humanity had succeeded with what looked like casual efficiency. The Void Hunters, beings that had consumed entire stellar civilizations, were reduced to nothing more than computational residue. The Galactic Confederation's collective shock was almost palpable. Humanity hadn't just defended against an existential threat. They had turned it into a comprehensive demonstration of technological superiority that would be studied for generations. And they had done it while making it look almost effortless. The moment of revelation began with the most mundane of scientific interactions. Dr. Lyra Chen, no relation to the other Chens in humanity's strategic network, was participating in a routine data exchange with the Zorn Collective. Her trembling tentacle, a prosthetic biomechanical appendage that looked entirely human, was supposed to simply transfer a seemingly innocuous research package about quantum communication protocols. What happened next would change galactic history forever. A microscopic quantum entanglement error, a fraction of a microsecond, where the data transfer's protective encryption wavered. 3 seconds of unfiltered, raw human technological capability flooding through the Confederation's most secure communication networks. The Zorn researcher, a senior scientist named Krillbox, didn't immediately understand what he was seeing. The data streams looked like impossible mathematical poetry, complex computational matrices that seemed to defy every known law of physics and information transfer. Quantum computing systems that could process entire civilizational datasets in less than a nanosecond. adaptive nanotechnological frameworks that could reconstruct entire planetary ecosystems with mathematical precision. Predictive algorithms so advanced they could model potential galactic conflicts centuries in advance, accounting for variables that most species couldn't even conceptualize. For 3 breathtaking seconds, the galaxy saw humanity's true face. In the hidden research complex on Europa, Dr. Marcus Chen watched the accidental revelation with a mixture of calculated concern and clinical detachment. Data leak detected. He muttered into his quantum-encrypted communication channel, initiating comprehensive damage control protocol. But it was too late. The Galactic Confederation's communication networks erupted into chaos. Emergency councils were convened. Diplomatic channels burned with urgent transmissions. Species that had viewed humans as a promising but ultimately juvenile civilization now felt a primal existential terror. Krillvox's crystalline body actually trembled, a rare display of emotion for the notoriously stoic Zorn species. The data he had seen suggested capabilities so advanced that they rewrote every fundamental understanding of technological development. Humanity wasn't just another emerging species. They were something else entirely. Initiate comprehensive threat assessment, the Zorn primary representative instructed, his voice a low, resonant vibration that seemed to shake the very foundations of the diplomatic chamber. We need to understand exactly what we've just witnessed. But understanding was impossible. The glimpse of human technological capability was like showing a prehistoric human a modern quantum computer. The complexity, the sheer computational poetry of human innovation, existed in a realm beyond conventional comprehension. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, watching from a secure communication hub, allowed herself the briefest of satisfied smiles. The accidental revelation was precisely calculated. A controlled leak that would reshape galactic perceptions without exposing their full capabilities. Damage control team standing by, her communications officer reported, initiating narrative management protocols. What looked like a catastrophic technological slip was, in reality, another carefully orchestrated move in humanity's long-term strategic game. The 3-second data leak would be explained away as a minor technical glitch, a momentary encryption failure. But the seeds of doubt had been planted. For the first time, the Galactic Confederation truly understood that humanity was not what they appeared to be. Not a young, emerging species to be guided and controlled, but a sleeping technological titan, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal its true nature. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The demonstration site was chosen with surgical precision, a neutral star system along the contested borders of 3 major galactic civilizations, a location that would maximize observation and minimize potential collateral damage. Commander Sarah Nakamura stood on the bridge of the U.S. Prometheus, her augmented neural interfaces connecting her to every system with a depth of integration that would have terrified most alien species. Around her, a fleet of vessels that looked deceptively small, almost fragile, prepared for what would become the most significant military demonstration in galactic history. All systems calibrated, Lieutenant David Chen reported, his voice clinical and detached. Quantum entanglement matrices at full resonance. The Galactic Confederation had demanded a demonstration. They would get one that would rewrite every understanding of technological capability. The first wave of alien observation platforms arrived. Massive computational arrays from 12 different species, each equipped with the most advanced scanning and analysis technologies in known space. They expected to see a standard military exercise. What they would witness was nothing short of a technological revolution. Nakamura's first command was deceptively simple: initiate dimensional phase integration. The human fleet began to move in patterns that defied conventional understanding of spacetime. Ships didn't just move. They existed simultaneously in multiple quantum states, shifting between dimensional layers faster than most species could process visual information. Where a traditional fleet would present solid, predictable targets, the human vessels became quantum ghosts. They could be everywhere and nowhere, could absorb entire energy barrages and redirect them with mathematical precision that bordered on the mystical. The Zorn primary representative, Krell NX, watched from the primary observation platform, its crystalline sensory tendrils extending in what could only be described as pure, unfiltered shock. Computational analysis indicates impossible vector translations. Its communication systems stuttered, an unprecedented display of technological confusion for the typically unflappable species. Each human ship was more than a vessel. It was a living, adaptive intelligence. Nanotechnological systems could reconstruct damage instantaneously, could predict and counter potential attack vectors before they were even conceived. Defensive systems that didn't just protect, they anticipated, they learned, they evolved in real time. Lieutenant Chen's tactical display showed multiple layers of potential conflict scenarios. Not just the immediate engagement, but potential galactic conflict models that extended centuries into the future. Each potential timeline was analyzed, categorized, prepared for. The demonstration wasn't just about military capability. It was a comprehensive display of technological superiority that rewrote every fundamental understanding of warfare. Defensive systems absorbed incoming energy attacks, not just blocking them but converting them into additional computational power. Shields that weren't just protective barriers, but active, learning systems that could analyze and neutralize threats at the quantum level. Diplomatic communication channels are experiencing massive data traffic, a communication officer reported. Multiple species requesting immediate clarification of observed capabilities. Nakamura allowed herself the briefest of satisfied smiles. This wasn't just a military demonstration. This was a statement, a clear, unequivocal message about humanity's true nature. They weren't just another species to be categorized and controlled. They were something else entirely. As the demonstration concluded, the alien observation platforms were left with petabytes of data that would take generations to fully comprehend. Computational models that suggested capabilities so advanced they bordered on the incomprehensible. The Galactic Confederation had asked to see humanity's capabilities. They had received a masterclass in technological superiority. And they would never look at humans the same way again. The Galactic Confederation's Emergency Council chamber had never felt so small. 12 species sat around a circular diplomatic platform, their representatives looking like they had collectively witnessed the end of everything they once understood. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez sat among them, a model of calculated calm amidst the storm of galactic recalibration. Krell of the Zorn Collective spoke first, its crystalline body pulsing with what could only be described as a mixture of terror and grudging respect. Humanity's technological capabilities represent a fundamental recalibration of our entire understanding of civilizational development. Translation: we are completely and utterly terrified. The orbital commune's representative, a being of pure energy contained within a sophisticated quantum matrix, flickered with visible agitation. The capabilities demonstrated suggest not just advanced technology, but a level of strategic thinking that fundamentally challenges our entire diplomatic paradigm. Translation: we have no idea how to compete with these humans. Diplomatic relations were being rewritten in real time. Species that once viewed humans as a potential client civilization now scrambled to establish alliances. Trade agreements were hastily drafted, military treaties were reconsidered, and every alien civilization began a comprehensive reassessment of humanity's position in the galactic hierarchy. Dr. Marcus Chen watched the proceedings from a secure monitoring station, his quantum-integrated neural interfaces tracking every microscopic diplomatic interaction. Each diplomatic exchange was a living data set, a complex mathematical model of interstellar relationship dynamics. Diplomatic pressure vectors are realigning at 94% efficiency, he murmured to his team. Predictive models suggest complete galactic power restructuring within 37 standard planetary rotation periods. The human strategy had been generations in the making. Not conquest, not open warfare, but a comprehensive restructuring of galactic power dynamics through calculated demonstration of capability. The Crex Imperium's representative produced what could only be described as a technological surrender. We propose immediate technological and strategic collaboration with the human delegation. Its communication matrix suggested, the subtext screaming pure desperation. Ambassador Rodriguez's response was masterful in its simplicity. We are open to mutually beneficial exchanges, she said, her voice calm, her eyes holding the calculated depth of generations of strategic planning. Every word was a weapon. Every diplomatic gesture a carefully constructed move in a game of galactic chess that had been playing out for centuries. The truly terrifying part for the Galactic Confederation was the realization that this demonstration was likely only a fraction of humanity's true capabilities. What they had seen was a controlled reveal, a carefully orchestrated window into technological prowess that suggested depths of capability beyond immediate comprehension. Comprehensive threat assessment complete. Lieutenant David Chen reported from the monitoring station. Alien civilizations are now categorizing humanity not as an emerging species, but as a primary strategic consideration. The power shift was total and immediate. Trade routes would be renegotiated. Military alliances would be restructured. Every single galactic protocol would need comprehensive revision to account for humanity's true nature. What looked like a simple demonstration of technological capability was, in reality, a fundamental restructuring of galactic civilization. The Zorn had thought they were guiding a young species. The orbital communes had believed they could control human development. The Crex Imperium had viewed humans as a potential resource. Now they understood the truth. Humanity wasn't a species to be controlled. They were the new architects of galactic civilization, and they had been planning this moment for generations. The final revelation came not with a thunderous declaration, but with a meticulously prepared presentation that would forever change galactic understanding. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood before the Galactic Confederation, her holographic display transforming the diplomatic chamber into a comprehensive timeline of human preparation. Behind her, a team of human representatives represented the most diverse and strategically positioned group ever assembled. For generations, she began, her voice calm and measured. Humanity has been preparing. The holographic display began to unfold, a living, breathing narrative of human development that made the other species realize they had been playing an entirely different game. Quantum communication networks that had been quietly developed decades before first contact. Adaptive technological frameworks that could rewrite entire planetary ecosystems. Predictive models that could calculate galactic conflict scenarios centuries in advance. Not just theoretical models, but fully developed, tested, and ready to deploy systems. The Zorn representative, Krell Lennox, whose crystalline body had always prided itself on computational superiority, now looked like a primitive calculator compared to the complexity of human strategic thinking. Dr. Marcus Chen controlled the presentation from a hidden command center, each data point a carefully selected piece of a massive, generations-long puzzle. The presentation wasn't just a revelation. It was a comprehensive autopsy of galactic civilization, dissected and understood at a level no other species could comprehend. We didn't just prepare for potential threats, Rodriguez continued. We prepared for every possible scenario, every potential conflict, every possible technological challenge. The timeline was breathtaking. While other species had been focused on immediate technological gains, humanity had been playing a multi-generational game of strategic positioning. Communication networks developed in secret, technological frameworks tested in hidden research complexes, entire generations raised with a singular purpose, to position humanity as the true masters of galactic civilization. Lieutenant David Chen's predictive models showed how every diplomatic interaction, every seemingly innocent technological exchange, had been part of a comprehensive strategy. Not conquest through force, but conquest through strategic positioning, technological superiority, and unparalleled adaptive capability. The most terrifying revelation wasn't the technology itself. It was the patience, The calculated, generational approach that had transformed humanity from an apparently naive species into the most formidable civilization in known space. "We could have revealed our true capabilities at any moment," Rodriguez said, her voice holding the weight of generations of strategic planning. "We chose not to. We chose to learn, to understand, to prepare." Diplomatic channels across the galaxy burned with urgent communications. Military strategists from a dozen species tried to comprehend the magnitude of what they were witnessing. Humanity hadn't just developed advanced technology. They had developed an entirely new approach to civilizational development. The human delegation wasn't just a diplomatic team. They were the culmination of generations of strategic preparation, each individual a living weapon of diplomatic and technological capability. Dr. Lyra Chen's quantum communication matrices showed how human technological development had been happening in parallel dimensions of possibility that most species couldn't even conceptualize. Not just linear technological progress, but a multidimensional approach to development that made traditional technological advancement look like children playing with primitive tools. As the presentation concluded, the Galactic Confederation sat in stunned silence. Humanity hadn't just arrived on the galactic stage. They had been orchestrating the entire performance from behind the curtain. And now, they were ready to take center stage. The galaxy would never be the same again.